G'day YouTube. So another video on Shimpaku. What it is, I found this guy in the garden, as you do when you walk around and have a look. Was an air layer I took a few years ago, I'd say. Pretty wild and rampant already. It's got lots of long, straight, boring branches, so we've got to do something about that. I have a feeling this tree though has what's called ground layered some of the branches. I think I might have buried this a bit too deep. So what happened is, whilst this is the main trunk and main tree here, there's a little guy here that I think is ground layered, and there's also a guy here, a couple of branches here, I think that might have ground layered as well. So what that means is the tree was buried, the branches were buried in the soil, and then what's happened is over time, because they're in the soil, those branches started to form roots. So what does that mean? That means if there's enough roots there, we can actually cut that bit off and actually have a new tree. So ground layering, air layering, that's a way of creating new trees quite easily. So let's have a look and see what we can do, and maybe we can find some extra trees. I think this might be a little small tree here. There's a couple there, and I think this is like there's two branches here. I think that might have air laid. Let's have a look. But this is going to be a bit dirty, so I might just turn the camera off and then come back on, and I'll show you what we found. Really, all I'm doing is taking this out of the pot. It's autumn here in Melbourne, so we can do our repotting of conifers at this time of year. They go pretty well. So this isn't too much work I'm doing on the tree. This is quite standard and quite normal. We've got very mild conditions here in Melbourne, so this kind of work can be done at this time of year. So let me have a look, and I'll come back and show you the results. So I've had to get the hose out and try and spray some of these roots just to see where things are at. Now, hopefully you can hear my voice over my birds, which decide to squawk at the wrong time. So what I've been able to find is, I'll come in close. Do you see this dead piece of wood here? Now, this was part of the air layer that I took. So that's the end bit where I cut. So I would have air laid somewhere above here, and this was the bit I cut off the main tree at some time. So you can see that was where the air layer ended, and this above here is all the roots that have grown over time, over the years. So I would have air laid this off another tree, taken it off, put it in this pot, and this is all the roots that have formed over the years. So it's done really well. It's really healthy. So what I've also trying to find is, I did have a squeeze and see this little guy. So I knew I was going to get these two guys. So these two young little branches here. These two nice little branches. Now you can see quite clearly they're full of roots there. So what I can do is I'm going to actually just cut that off here and plant that. And there's a little 2-tree, interesting maybe. That could be a very interesting tree in the future, because it's joined. It's going to have this. It's going to have this like a raft style kind of look. So this actually could form nice and big pad in the future. It could be an interesting little tree there. That's two. So that's a new tree I'm going to create out of that. When I do that, I'll cut that off, and I'll actually put some wire on these guys, because you want to start them early. Remember, always talk about starting good trees early with bends and twists. You never know what comes out of it. The harder part was actually over here. Now, trying to identify these. Where are they? I'll come back in a second. Hang on. Coming back to these two here. Now, I can definitely see they formed lots of roots. You can just see by this, where my finger is here. That's a root that's just formed at the higher up on this branch. So there's going to be a nice little twin trunk that I'll eventually form. Now the problem was trying to identify where off the parent, so where off this big guy that this has come off. So it's going to be hard to see, but let me try and focus. But you can see there's a really heavy, very heavy root there. Let's see, I'll try and get in without getting too blurry. There's a very heavy root in there, that one there, but it's going to be hard to see. So that's where this is growing out, that root's growing out, and then these two guys have been air laid off. This was actually, shouldn't say a root, that was actually a branch. Now I had buried it, you know, probably by mistake, I'm not sure. But look at that, bonus. Get these two guys and create another little tree out of it. So what I'll do is I'll separate this out and separate the other little guy out, and I'll come back to you in a minute because this is very dirty work, and I need two hands to do it. So it's pretty straightforward. I just cut those off and I'll show you what I've done when I come back. So I'll just quickly show you that was the right branch, and I've cut that off. This is still quite firm. I'm just trying to wiggle that out to get the tree out. But that's definitely, see the branch would have come from there, and that's the new little piece there. Plus I also cut off the other guy. I'll show you that. See, so that's clearly done well. It's got some nice little roots. That will go really well. That will grow easily. Just puts a bit of wire on this, and I'll show you that in a minute, to get some shape, and then in a little plastic grow pot, and off it goes. But yeah, I'll come back to you and I'll show you the results of this little guy here, whilst I can. Okay, so I've done all the root work I needed to do. Now I'll show you this guy. It's a nice little two-tree, perfect little twin trunk in the future. Hope you can see that up and close there. Yeah, two little trees, perfectly joined down here. I'll work on these roots eventually to bring them back up, but that's okay. That's a bonus, isn't it? By chance, I've just had a look at this tree today, and I've scored another little guy, a twin trunk juniper there, a twin trunk Shimpaku, and another little twin trunk as well. So all I'll do now is get these in some plastic grow pots and grow them on. This guy will do some bit more work, and you'll see the results. But that's my normal twisting up, twisting, bending that you've seen before in my videos. But yeah, same process over and over again to develop good trees. It's so important to develop good stock. Good stock is critical, and I'm glad you guys are enjoying these videos about trying to grow good stock. So I'll come back when I set myself up and root pot these little guys, and I'll put some bends in the trees. Okay, so I've just put some wire on these trees, and it's just now a matter of twisting them and bending them into shape, and giving them some interest before I put them in a pot. So it's just playing around with it and just tweaking a few bits and pieces. Yeah. So slowly do it so you don't snap the trunk. Just play around with different ways to do it. As long as you get some nice bends and twists in there, that's all that matters. So it's looking quite nice. Might do this out to this side. Maybe something interesting will happen there. We'll always make it three-dimensional too. It's not always side to side, but forward, backwards, sideways, etc. Left, right. You don't ever know where the front is on these little guys. Remember, it's never about, picking a front at this time, It's always just about getting some interest in the tree, getting away from any straight bits. Yeah. So maybe something like that to start with. Hope you can see that clearly. Something like that. You could do a bit tighter, but this is so small and so young that you can get away with just slight curves there. That's a nice little, cute little, possibly, in the future, something like that. You never know, something like that could happen. I would just go in a little pot like this, in a grow pot now. I'll plant that in there, water it, and put it with the rest of the trees, and they'll just keep growing. So yeah, I'll take care of that in a sec. This guy, again, put some wire on it. You can see that quite clearly. Yeah, it's just a matter of now putting some bends in it. Now these when they're a bit bigger, I try and put more bends in there, or a bit more aggressive, because I've got to get the bends in now, otherwise, yeah, it's not going to show up. So, and with the slightly larger branches, what I do is I'll wire a bit today, and then I'll come back in a week and then put some more tweaks in it, and yeah, compress it further. So I've left the tip alone. I want that to shoot and grow quickly, because that will set this branch quicker. So now I've really tried to compress that a lot. Hopefully you can see how nice and compressed that is. Just this is going towards the top, and that's fine, because I want to try and get that to shoot and set. It's all about setting these twists and turns down here. I might go backwards a bit on that to give a bit more contrast. Okay, so that one's kind of done. We'll leave it at there. Just put some bends in it. This is another twisty, so I might go that way first. Now you can do this work. You can see I've got the roots hanging out everywhere. Don't be scared. They're not going to dry out anytime soon. I had to water. I had to spray the tree before, so the roots are pretty wet anyway. So that will be fine for now. So no real drama there in terms of the roots drying out at the moment. So. So there you go, really nice little, put some twists in there, turns. I didn't do too much. I might come back next week and see how this is, and I'll just put some more bends into that. But there you go. Hopefully you can see in there, nice and close, those twists and bends and so forth. It should be nice, yeah. Cool, I'll just repot these now and start on the bigger tree. All right, so we've got some of the dirty work out of the way. And what I've done is taken the opportunity to plant the tree, just put it in the pot in a slightly better angle. It was too close to the edge before, now it's more towards the middle, so that we can work on it a bit easier. Now, you can probably see, again, this has a nice, actually interesting trunk already. It flows that way. Looks actually quite okay. But I want to now put more bends into it, just like my other trees. So see how these guys are really long. I don't want to have long straight branches. I want to have nice twisting up branches. Don't really know which way it's going to go, so forth. It's got a nice little branch here. Could play with it in the future somewhere. It's got a nice branch at the back here too. This branch is a little thick. I'm not sure if I like that too much at the moment. This has got a slightly nicely thinner branch, as it's current in the apex area. It's got a low branch in here that we can twist around, move around. But yeah, I think this is quite a good little tree. I took an LA a few years ago of this tree, off a larger tree now, and I just left and forgot it pretty much. And this is what happens. They just develop. Once they establish roots, they develop. And in a couple of years you can start working on them, which is what's happened here. So yeah, now it's a matter of just getting some heavy wire on it again, as you've seen before, and I might clean up some of the little twigs that I don't want, but yeah, very important to develop good stock. Now, I'd wire this up. In a year's time, I reckon you'll be ready for a styling and an initial look at how the tree will eventually be. I like the thickness of this trunk already. It's actually quite nice. Good size there with the roots. You know, it's actually going to be a nice little mini small tree again. I do like my Shimpakus nice and small and compact. So yeah, so what I'll do is I'll wire this up and we'll come back and I'll position and twist them up as you've seen before. Okay, so up to the stage where I've wired all the main branches. You can probably see that quite clearly in there, nice and, you know, nice aluminium wire again, nice and thick. I've tried to explain this before, but I use as thick as I can aluminium wire on the branches. The thicker that I use, I find the branches are less likely to break and snap. So the heavy wire enables me to move the branch easily into place. So it's just a matter of bending that wire quite easily, I find, and less likely for the branch to break. And once I bend it in one go, it stays there, doesn't move, doesn't bounce back. If you knock it in the garden, doesn't bounce back, it will just stay there. So now it's just a matter of coming back and let's see what we can do in terms of positioning some of the branches. Now, if you can see that there, that's that straight branch that I didn't really like much. What I'm going to do is I'll put some very heavy gauge wire on that. I think that was a 5 or possibly even 6 gauge on there. See if I can get some bends in it. But I'm not ultimately convinced that that is going to be the best branch in this tree. So I'll just put a really heavy wire. I'll just give it a bend and see what happens. So now it's just a matter of, here's what the tree looks like before we do any of our bends, and then we'll once we do our bends, we'll come back. It should be a lot more compact, I think, and should have much more twists and turns into it. Now, the way I've said this a few times already, but the way you wire, the direction you wire the branch is kind of the direction you want to twist the actual branch as well. So, you know, if you wire in clockwise direction, you'll be twisting the branch in a clockwise direction as well. So let's see how we go. I might start with this guy here to get it out of the way. So I like to go backwards sometimes before I try and go forwards. So let's see how we go. It's pretty tight, this one, for some reason. Oh. Slowly getting there. Again, remember, you don't have to do this all in one go. You can do it over a number of days or a few weeks. You know, you always can come back and tweak and tweak and tweak. So I find once you set that in position, you know, you can come back and tweak it again, a bit more each time. So it's a matter of, so I've slowly started to get the twists in. Now I'm trying to push it closer into the trunk because I want it nice and close. It's looking quite good now, but it's a very slow process. Be patient. I know people like to use pliers and so on. I do that occasionally, but I do like, with my hands on there, and I've got big hands, is I can just feel if I'm going too far on the branch. I can feel if I'm going to break it, so I know when to stop. So that's why I probably use my hands more than I use pliers. Yeah, maybe in 10 or 15 years time I won't have the strength in my hands, but for now I'll do what I can. And I've wired some of these sub branches as well because they're big enough, and I might as well put some basic twists and turns into them now and see what happens with them in the future. So this was out here somewhere in the height. Now it's actually, look, if the camera can get in there, it's nice and twisted up and nice and tight, and it's a nice little, you can already see how good that little, just that by itself, how good that little tree is. You never know, it might come back one day and go, hey, this is such a good little tree, I might airlay that branch off. I've done that before in the past as well. I've airlaid branches that I've twisted up and they're too good to just stay on the tree, so I've taken that off as an airlay, and bang, I've got a nice little mini. So that's a possible, just an air layer off that in the future as well. Nice little mini there, so you can see, hopefully you can see that nice little mini there. Okay, so that's enough on that, I think, for now. I'll keep working through. I might try this one, big one at the back. See what I can do. I've really compacted that down back on itself. There's a couple of smaller branches at the back here, which we will also put some nice movement in. I say the back, but I don't know where the front is at the moment in this tree. But I'm just trying to bring back everything, compact it. I don't want long, spindly branches. I want tight curves and, you know, as you've seen before. Down with that. Really, it's just about trying to create and imagine what your tree could be. Just be creative. And you know what? Things will work, things won't. So now this has all been really compacted down, really tight, squished in. I know I've got the leaders, but I want, always, as I said, you want these to grow so it fattens the area up and thickens that twisting trunk more. I'm just trying to get room, create some room for this one to bend it so we can set it somewhere. So I'm just playing around with these. So I'll get these little guys out of the way as well. Okay, so I've just tweaked these guys, little guys at the back. Now you can see the main branch still is left. You can probably see from where it was to how compact it is now. That's what you want to achieve. You want to try and really get the compactness down and get it nice and tight. Okay, so I reckon the first thing we try and do is get this guy to go back and see how we go. I might block the camera, unfortunately, because this is much harder work than before. But I'm going to try and go with the twists of the wire, the way we bent the wire. So what I ultimately want to do is try and go back and try and bring this guy right around. It's probably very tight to do it, but I think I might come around. I think this is going to take a few weeks to get this all the way around, but it's coming slowly, slowly. Okay, oh, that wasn't too bad, but I went backwards and then I curled it with the way direction of the wire. So got that going. There's a couple of little guys here I could wire as well. Didn't see them before, but ultimately that's where we got to. So that's where that original bit was at here. Now it's down here, and yeah. I might just tweak a few more branches if I'm just happy with where they are. But that looks like just a little compact mess of branches and so on. But that's what we're trying to get to. As you saw in previous videos I've done, you want to reduce big things out here down to into here. Twists and turns, and now you just let the tree do its thing. You just feed it, get it strong, get it growing in the spring, summer months, and it just takes over and goes nuts. And then you come back and have a look at it, clean it up, and that's what I'll do in 6 months' time. In a year's time, we'll come back and have a closer look at this tree, see where it's at. But yeah, ultimately, this is what you're trying to do. Big, compact, big, tall tree, compacted down, lots of twists and turns. Come back and see how they set in a year's time, 6 months to a year's time. All right, there's another video. Today we actually got 2 bonus trees out of this one tree. So by accidentally ground layering a couple of branches, we got 2 young little trees that I've just wired up briefly. I'll let that sit for a couple of years, let them grow and see what happens. But this is a much better tree. This has got a lot of potential, I think, as well. And we'll come back and see it in the future. Hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Hope you can hear my voice nice and clear. I'm working on getting a microphone for my phone camera, and my birds are not squawking as much. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. As always, please subscribe and so you can get notifications of new videos. Thank you.